My name's Rebecca. I was 17 when I fell pregnant with my daughter and 18 when I had her.
This is Julianne and I'm Aubrey, and we became young parents recently. I was 21.
And I was 18.
I'm Stacey and I'm 18. I was 17 when I fell pregnant and then 18 when I had my daughter, and she's now 6 months old.
Hello, my name's Morgan. I was pregnant at 19 and I had my son at 20.
My name is Kerry and I'm an early intervention health visitor. So I work with young parents from the antenatal period up until the child has turned 1.
I had my first midwife appointment on my 18th birthday, so that kind of sums up how I was feeling at that time and, you know, everything that was running through my head. But I think because of the good communication, it made my experience a lot more happier than I think it could have been.
It depended really on who we went to see. I remember my first doctor's appointment and I went to the doctor and I told him I was pregnant. Nothing was really told to me. It was, you need to take your time, you need to think about what you're going to do.
Within my pregnancy journey, most of the information I was given was in the form of leaflets, which I liked as I could look back on them. However, I'd prefer it if within the appointment there was a question and answer in regards to leaflets, so you could get the questions that you wanted out there and then. A little bit more of an explanation into test results and how that affects your pregnancy.
Being responsible for the engagement, understanding that young people do find services difficult to access. So I think being mindful of communication style as well is really important. So I use a strength-based approach where I do a lot of positive noticing, positive affirmations to build that confidence and self-efficacy up with the young people.
Some healthcare professionals were more understanding of age than others.
I felt like a lot of my care was being treated by my age and not by me as an individual.
When my daughter was 10 days old, I had the health visitor appointment and she came over, and I can remember her lifting my baby and saying, "Oh, she smells clean," which for an 18-year-old, it did take me aback, and I do remember having the conversation with my parents and going, "Will you ask that question, and is that normal?" And I think that's when I started to kind of piece together that maybe it's because I was a little bit younger and didn't, I don't think any first-time parent 100% knows what they're doing, but it did definitely feel like that's not something that you should say to somebody.
I went to the doctor because I was feeling really sick and I said, "I've recently found out I'm pregnant and I'm so sick." And he said, "Yeah, that's morning sickness." And he said, "What are you going to do?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I've never been pregnant before." He's like, "Okay, well, if you're going to have an abortion, you need to book another appointment." And I said, "That's not what I'm saying. I want to not be sick. I have work. I have things to do." And it just kind of felt like I was kind of pressured to not want to be pregnant.
I suppose when they ask the questions, you want to show that you can be the best parent for your child, and that if you don't answer correctly, then you feel that you will be judged by the healthcare professional in the future, as obviously those things do stay on your notes and everyone you encounter can see that.
I experienced a healthcare professional praising upon me choosing to breastfeed. However, I felt like with every positive came a negative in that it was, "Oh, we don't experience many young people deciding to breastfeed." And I just think maybe if the statement was kept at, "Oh, well done on choosing to breastfeed, is there any way we could support you with that?" that age didn't always need to be mentioned.
My experience of consistency of care was really good. I wanted to breastfeed my daughter. So when I had her and was discharged from the hospital, I was given a breastfeeding expert that came to my house for 10 days after she was born. This made me feel really good, really empowered. Even after I was doing it for, quite a while and I felt confident doing it, it was really nice to have someone there that sort of championed you and told you were doing a good job.
I felt like, at least because I was a man, I wasn't interacted with as much. It was more, they'd talk to her and do with stuff with her, and then I just felt a little excluded.
So I think continuity of care is really important. So where possible, the same health professional, when they're seeing that same face and they're building that trust, they're more open to receive information, and they feel that they can rely on you and they can trust you because you're consistently being there for them.
Because I was a guy, I didn't get any say in the choice of my partner's pregnancy.
Yeah, like even helping them have a safe space to have that conversation. Maybe they don't want to have it at home because they live with their parents, or you know, they're in school or things like that. Like just giving them or helping them have that conversation.
Throughout my birth, the only thing I would say that maybe could have been improved upon was using my husband as sort of my advocate when I was in pain, making sure that his voice was heard more, as he had an understanding what my birth preferences were, and he in that situation knows me best when I'm unable to communicate for myself.
So like they said, if breastfeeding really doesn't work, you can give the colostrum, and then once you've like done your colostrum, then we can give formula if he needs it, or we will just keep helping you try to breastfeed, which I think was helpful that they just kept helping me try breastfeed. But also, like I didn't have like my safety net that I wanted to bring with me, and I think that just made me really scared.
And just having someone to speak to just makes you feel well listened, and just that no, you haven't got a silly question and you're not being judged for any of your thoughts and feelings because you don't always have control over them.
So a supportive approach is really important. I think you need to be mindful that that young person is the master in their own life. So it's about empowering them to make those changes for themselves and their child.
I felt there's prejudice within the parenting community towards young parents. Instead of comparing our differences, let's compare our similarities, and why should we let our age define our parenting ability?
I went to the pregnancy assessment unit with contractions. I got put onto the monitor. I was told that I wasn't contracting, nothing was showing up. I was pretty adamant that something was happening, so I kind of pushed a little bit, and I got offered an internal examination, which I took, and this showed that I was actually dilating and in slow labour, so I was contracting the whole time, and then this led to me being induced and having my daughter. Having that experience made me feel like I was in control of the situation, that they really listened to what I needed, they trusted that what I was saying was happening, and I think that they acted upon that really effectively.
I think it was probably the best thing about my whole pregnancy experience was the advice line, because when I was worried, and instead of sitting at home being scared until the morning when I can call the midwife office, it was 24 hours, and it was someone in the labour ward answering it, so they could be like, yeah, come in, I'll see you.
And more ways of getting that out there, like more apps or stuff like that would be really nice.
Well, I'm not sure if it's just where we had the baby, but we had an app called Badger Notes, which would you could see what my midwives have written recently, I could see my blood test results on it, my upcoming appointments, like everything was on there, and I found that really helpful. And they had articles to read depending on how many weeks pregnant you are as well.
So I did go to an antenatal class. So there they kind of explained how to bath the baby and feed the baby and where to place the cot safely in the room and things like that. And some of it I found quite interesting because obviously you don't know how to wrap a baby properly after the bath and things like that. So I thought it was, quite informative.
So the information young parents receive is really important. So you need to think about how that's delivered. I use an iPad. We will look at apps, video resources, visuals that help them learn. I use hands-on activities, crafts, life skills. So we could make up a sleep space together, we could make a feed together, whatever works to help that information really sink in. So it's important to remember that the teenage brain actually is going through a reorganisation period. So from adolescence up to the age of 25 is the second biggest time that our brain reorganises, the first being in infancy. So the positive side of this for a health professional is that actually the brain is quite flexible at this time, so it's open to change and it's a great time for young parents to learn new things.
What is it like being a parent?
I think it's fantastic. Before we had a baby, I said, you know, I know what to do, I can handle it. And a few times it hasn't felt like that, but most times it's been exactly like that. Like, I've known what to do.
Oh, it's the best experience in the world. Highs and obviously lows, but all the highs make up for the lows. A lot of love, and you see the world from a different perspective.
I love that I get to experience being a young parent. I get to show my son all of the values and how it feels to be loved, respected, and how amazing the world can be.